Hey everyone, it's Veiled Shot, back at it with another Awaken Chaos Era video. So I just released a trait upgrade tier list, and I got a comment on the video. The comment had some pretty good points of feedback, points of criticism, and I just wanted to go over a couple of them. So this video is going to be more of a discussion type video, kind of going in depth in the trait upgrade tier list and my thought process completely, because that video was a little short, so I know people are wondering some things about the tier list, whether or not I thought about some things, and kind of my thought process going through it. So if you have liked these videos so far, be sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and drop a comment, especially like the ones in the previous videos. I've been going through them, and I really do appreciate them. Even the ones that are criticizing, they help make some better videos. All right, so let's hop over to the tier list. Okay, so here we are at the tier list. Now I want to go over a couple things. This is going to be a discussion type video, so I'm going to be talking through a lot. I'm going to leave timestamps in the description if you want to go to specific topics. Now, the first thing I want to address is the tier list is giving the people the wrong idea. This is a criticism I saw on my previous video. I mentioned you should never go with a tier list when you're picking to use rare currency on. Now, okay, sure, I could go with a formula, but I just wanted to get a video out because someone requested it. So I did want to go for a video. I thought it was more of a fun video. I'm sorry if anyone took this as like, this is exactly what you should be doing. You're doing it wrong if you're not doing this. This is a subjective video. Tier lists are subjective by nature, which means that you should be evaluating this based on your own account, your own position in the game. My personal opinion is based from a free-to-play player's perspective. So I'm free-to-play. If you're a spender, that changes the things drastically. Obviously, you're going to have access to packs that you can buy for these things, so it's easier to obtain. Now, if you're a late game player, then you're going to be obtaining these much easier, although I don't think anyone's late game currently. If you're early game, these are going to be much harder. Also, if you're late game, you're going to be tackling different content, which means some of these are going to go up and down the tier list. This is a general utility tier list. Out of all the content, what are you getting the most value out of? And it's just my opinion. Now, make sure you're getting multiple opinions and basing your decision on that. I'm sorry if anyone, took this and it's like, okay, this is exactly what I have to do. I have Gangelo or I have Ciara, I have Ciara and I don't have anyone else above the tier list. I'm going to upgrade it to Ciara. And then, later on you find out that Goobag is going to be more useful than Ciara. I'm sorry if anyone actually took that, but it is a tier list, so it's objective. Now, the second criticism I'm going to be addressing is the fact that there's tier 2 versus tier 5 and the stack gains that you get between the tier 2 and tier 5 ascensions. So it is an absolute valid criticism. All of these are valid criticisms. I'm going to jump into the game. I should have mentioned in my video, it was supposed to be a short video, so I didn't mention it, but I should have mentioned it because it would have been, maybe 10 seconds to mention. Mythasia has a tier 2 trait, or rather Ascension 2 trait. And what does that mean? It means you need either a mix of duplicates or Soul Arcana to ascend her. Let's say you have one duplicate, one of Soul Arcana, you can get her trait. Now, Tia, for example, who happens to be really high on my tier list, is Ascension 5 trait. What that means is you need 5 of them, 3 more than you need for Mythasia. Now, they said that the tier list would be completely rearranged based on this. I want you to know I have evaluated each one of these and their amount that you need to upgrade them, tier 2 versus tier 5. I've also evaluated their stats. So another criticism was that the stats that you gain, I need to evaluate those. Now, I did do research, so I do factor into all these stat increases. For example, Tia is getting speed, attack, defense, and health. Mythasia is going to be getting health. Someone like Evelyn is going to be getting health. Zachary is going to be getting attack. If we go into here, he's an elite, so I didn't go over him because it's super easy to ascend him, but he's going to be getting attack. So attack type characters are going to be getting attack bonuses. Defense type characters are going to be getting defense. Health type characters are going to be getting health. Mythasia is a max health healer, so her heals are based on max HP. So she's going to get max HP from her Ascension. Tia is an Ascension 5, so she's going to get a multitude of stats during her Ascensions. Someone like Zalix is going to be getting an attack increase. All of these matter, and I did factor them into my personal opinion on the tier list. Now, some people might disagree, like the person in the video. I think they disagreed on a couple things, like, for example, Windstrex. Down here, Windstrex, they argued that is getting plus 15 speed during the Ascension. It's worth getting that plus 15 speed. I'd argue that it's not because I found that Winstrex, me personally, I've had no problem dealing with Winstrex. I don't have a Winstrex, but I have no problem. As you can see, there's Winstrex, 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 and Winstrex, all in my arena list. I was at Platinum 5. I just happened to drop down to Gold 1 because I was testing a couple things. But I use Kyle to deal with Winstrex. My Kyle is tier 2-star and level 1. And just has basic gear on him. I adjusted his gear. He's a little lower speed than I was earlier. Level 2 glyphs, not even level 3, not even level 4. Just random speed, nothing invested into him. Again, that's why I have Kyle rated a little lower, because I don't think that you actually need to invest anything into him, into his Ascension, for him to be useful for what he is doing. I use Kyle. I use tankier teams to deal with Winstrex. Kyle is innately faster than Winstrex. So even if you're getting the plus 15s from Winstrex, Kyle is still going to be able to compete easily with Winstrex, and that is why I don't value her trait at all. Now, for those of you that don't have Kyle and have Winstrex, that might go up easier for you. But this is a general list. You know, maybe Winstrex could be evaluated as a B because of the plus 15 speed. I could take that. Maybe an A, even maybe an A. But I would not argue even close to S tier. It's going to be low A, maybe high B. So I could adjust that. I could see that. Another one, maybe Zatlux. He gets plus 15% base attack. For example, I have him Ascension 1 for myself, and he gets plus 15% base attack from his Ascension 1. And Ascension 2, he gets his trait. I'm not going to be putting any Soul Arcana into him. I happen to have 2. I had 3. I used 1 on Nathalia. Now, I will be using a second one on Nathalia soon. I haven't got any legendary ones, so the epic ones are much easier to obtain than the legendary ones. I'm not going to be putting it in as Zatlux. I don't think this trait's very good. Now, so there's some value in each of the stats. The Ascension's very, very complicated, so it's impossible to do a tier list that's completely flushes out everything. So I'm going to try to go as in depth as possible here. Now, if you evaluate Zatlux at A tier, which I could see that, half of the value you're getting, if not more, from going to 2 Ascension is the base attack. So once I have the base attack, the rest of the upgrades to tier 2 may be in C tier. I would almost never invest a Soul Arcana into him to get that upgrade. I'm just going to wait for duplicates. Now, someone like, for example, Tia is rated so highly, even though she's Ascension 5, I look at her stats, and speed is one of the most important things for Tia. I don't happen to have really good gear. I'm using the campaign gear. I am free to play. Plus 15 speed on Ascension 1 is absolutely crazy for Tia, I think, because you're gonna want either you're gonna want her to go first to kind of free so you can get 50% additional damage, especially for somewhere like Arena. So if I want her to go first, that way before my damage dealers. So if I want Zatlux to do 50% more damage, I have her go first, freeze people, boom, instant damage increase. Then plus 15% attack, then defense, then health, then her Ascension trait. So I think her Ascension trait is absolutely, I think if it was Ascension 2, I think everyone should absolutely go for her Ascension trait. I think it'll give you so much viability in so many different game modes, such as, bounties, such as Void Tower. But because it's Ascension 5, I don't think it's a blanket. You should absolutely go for it. I think it's, again, all of this is subjective, but I think that her stats, in addition with her trait, puts her at S tier. And I wanted to mention that because I think the person in the comments kind of assumed that I did not do my research on stats, and that I also did not do my research versus tier 2 versus tier 5. That's not the case. I don't think the tier list changes all that much based on that. I think a couple placements could be argued, absolutely. Like Tia, maybe high A. That is also why I put Lydia in A. I would absolutely upgrade her if I had, tier 2 Ascension. I actually have Lydia. So I have not upgraded her myself. I have not even invested anything into her because I'm tackling certain content that doesn't really require Lydia currently. She's going to be good overall. I think she's a really good character. But I think she needs her trait to really shine. But it's an Ascension 5 trait, and I'm going to be nowhere near that. I think Tia is really good, and her trait just makes her even better. So maybe Lydia could be argued B tier because of the Ascension 5. I could see that. I may have evaluated these a little too highly. I will admit that. But I think in general, the tier list stays relatively the same. Again, a position that could be argued is Zatlux. I could see him at A tier because of the attack. So that's just the stats. So the stats and the Ascension tier have been factored into. I think the stats also affect the tier list. So, when you're upgrading Lydia to tier 5, you don't just get the Ascension trait, as I mentioned previously. So she's A tier, for me at least, because you're getting speed, you're getting attack, you're getting health, you're getting defense. And these stats do matter quite a bit, especially since they're base stats. So gear also will apply to them. Now, another criticism I wanted to mention, just a little bit address, is some of the placements on here. I already went over Winstrex, I already went over Zatlux, I went over Tia, and I went over Lydia. So I think I accomplished a lot of the criticisms of the placement. But I think that you could absolutely argue for some places to be higher or lower based on the stats that you're getting. Absolutely. Now, another criticism I received is it doesn't make sense to feed essence into characters that do not have the complete trade up. So for example, Gangelo is a tier 2, or let's just go back to Tia because I have Tia. I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. So they're saying it's not worth it. It's not good based on the tier list unless I can get 5 of them. Okay, there's some merit to that. But again, I would argue that these stats are also equally as important as some of the trade ups. So, obviously her trade up, I would argue, is way better than the stats, but even the stats are good. Like getting Ascension 1, once I get my first legendary Solar Arcana, I'll be putting it directly into Tia because I think the speed is so valuable. It'll help me in Arena, it'll help me in Void Tower. And I might even put a second one into her, even though I can't get her to 5 super soon. So honestly, right now, currently, I'll be upgrading Tia to 5 as my first one. I don't think Metasia is super useful. Obviously, you can't upgrade light legendaries, and I think Tia is stellar character. If I happen to pull a different legendary, I might change my perspective. I just wanted to add this in real quick. It is important to mention that Tia is a fusible character, along with Cyrus and Savannah. Now, Tia, I would advise still continue to use the hierarchy in her. I will be, because as a free-to-play, it is very difficult to ascend her. I need 4 specific epics. The epics aren't fusible. Now, someone like Cyrus, I will be dropping her on the tier list down to D because you can just fuse her over and over and over again, and then just use her as duplicates. All right, back to the video. And that, again, falls into the subjective category. But I don't think that is the case at all. I think you should be factoring in the stats that you get as well. Now, another criticism I received is some characters are too high because they are slow characters and they just kind of slow down your teams. Now, for anyone that is actually free to play out there, you should know that going slow is the name of the game. You do not get fast teams into your end-to-end end game. You do not care about how fast you're completing content because all you want is the value of your energy to go as far as possible because energy is the bottleneck of this game. For those of you that spend, maybe you want faster teams. I am free to play. For those of you that are free to play out there, you're going to want slow teams. I think that even endgame players will want slower teams if it allows you to complete higher levels of content because you're going to get more out of your money. So someone like Brand is really, really high because he provides a lot of safety. They specifically pointed out Brand, but I'd argue that it doesn't matter if your teams are slow if you're completing higher level content. So that pretty much wraps up the discussion. There's a lot of things here. I know that this tier list is a tier list, and a lot of people don't like tier lists out there. I thought it was more of a fun video. I am defending it a little bit because I think that it received a lot of criticism, but I think a lot of that criticism is valid, and I think this just makes a stronger video overall, a stronger tier list. So I appreciate the criticism. Now I think that there are some placements that are going to be changed. I will change them. I'm going to move Zatlux up a little bit. I'll move Tia into the high A tier, even though me personally, I will be upgrading her. Lydia, I'll move a little bit down. I'm going to be moving Winstrex into the B tier, high B tier, because I know some people are going to be using her in Arena, but I think that you're missing out on a lot if you're not using a tier 2 team, or rather a turn 2 team, or a Kyle. If you don't happen to have Kyle, I understand why you're using Winstrex. Now this is for higher level Arena. Obviously, if you're lower level Arena, this matters much less. I'm going to be moving Myla into A tier because of the Ascension 5. So I could see that one, because I think that after evaluating this, I think I might have rated the tier 5 ones too highly. Now, the epic ones aren't going to change as much because epic ascensions are much, much easier to get, as I've seen, or as I've showed previously. Another one I'm going to move up is Zatlux. Zatlux deserves an A tier because of just his stats. So that doesn't even have to do with the Ascension trait itself. Just like Windstrikes, these are just based on the stats that they received before Ascension 2. I think Windstrikes is actually Ascension 5, but I think Ascension 3 is when you get the plus 15 for Windstrikes. You know, I don't have Windstrikes, so I don't know 100%. But Zatlux, you get just from the Ascension 1, you'll get what you need out of him. Now, if you have a question about a specific character, just drop a comment. You know, like you're saying, oh, I don't have Tia 5 Ascensions for her. Is it worth putting 1 or 2 in? I would comment, I would say, hey, you know what? I think the speed and the attack is worth it. I would drop 1 or 2 Ascensions in them if you have extras. Or rather, even if you don't have any, even if you have like Hydricia, I'd argue that Tia is worth putting the extra speed and attack into, for me at least. Now, obviously, again, this is subjective. I keep saying that, but I want it to be known because I think a lot of people made that assumption that I think this is exactly what you should be doing. Again, if you have any specific questions about any character, just drop them in comments below. There's a lot on this tier list. I cannot go through every single one. It will take hours to go through every single character. And I don't have access to every single character as well, so I cannot show you them. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for this video. I did feel like those comments warranted another video for myself. I did want to explain my tier list a little bit more. I did not want anyone to think that my, tier list was the word of law, that you should absolutely be following it, because that is not the case. I thought it was a more fun video to make. I had a comment requesting it, so I just made a video on my opinion. I thought other people would want to see my opinion. If you thought it was exactly what you should be doing, that is not the case. It is just my opinion. Again, if you're interested in seeing more content like this, be sure to leave a like, drop a comment down below, and subscribe. I imagine I'll be seeing a lot of comments from other characters, or maybe some more criticisms of the tier list. That is absolutely okay. But I think that is going to wrap it up for today. I'll see you for the next one.